Welcome to this video where we discuss what if analysis. So the first thing is the scenario manager. So under what if analysis, under the data tab, you actually get three options here: the scenario manager, goal seek, and data table. So what if analysis, as the name suggests, is basically a tool by which you can plan for different scenarios that could happen in your business environment. So to explain scenario manager, we have a very simple sheet here where we're actually trying to find out the total profit that we will achieve based on certain sale parameters. So what do we have here? The total quantity that we want to sell. And then we have defined a high price and a low price. So we have a separate, uh, you know, unit cost that has been defined. So based on that, I want to say how many of the quantity or what percentage of the quantity I'll sell at a high price and what percentage will be sold at a low price. So I've set it as 50%. So if it is 50%, I know that my total profit is going to be 3,500. But let's say I want to check for different scenarios as well. What if I were to tweak this, make it 20% or 60% or 70%, and I want to see this as a single sheet? So that's where the scenario manager comes in. So let's go in and get that sorted. So from what if analysis, I'll select scenario manager. So we get an interface like this. So at this point in time, there are no scenarios defined. So let's go in and define it. Let me click add here. So the first thing it asks us is what name do you want to give the scenario? So let's say in our case, we want to define the percentage that we will be selling at high price. So I'm going to provide the first scenario. I'll say 10%. Okay. And the changing cell is going to be D5 in this particular instance. So that means when I change whatever value is there in D5, it'll represent that it's a 10% change. Right? But that's not where we enter the value. So let's go ahead and click OK here. There you go. So here you can actually go and specify the value. So this 0.5 is actually showing what it is currently there, which is 50%. So since I gave the scenario name as 10%, let me go in and add 0.1. Okay, I'll click add to that. And let's say I'm going to add one more here, 25%. Changing cells is the same. There is no difference there. And I'll put 0.25 and click add to that. Okay, so I'm clicking add here because I want to add multiple scenarios. Let me also add 50% because that was originally there. We click on that and put 0.5 and click add once again. This time I'll put 60%, right? There we go. So now I'll put 0.6. So since I'm done with all the different scenarios, I've put 4 in this particular case. I'm going to click OK. So I click OK if I'm done with it, but I could always go in and add multiple scenarios. So as you can see over here, it is just an interface at this point in time. I have not changed or none of the values have changed on the sheet. But if I were to double click on any of these individual scenarios here, if I double click on 10%, you can see that the changes are actually getting reflected on the screen. So without having to physically go and make changes on the sheet, you can just click within the scenario manager to see how the profit is actually changing based on the different scenarios. Okay, so this is how the scenario manager actually works. So there are different ways by which we can move forward with this. So let's say based on this, you want a summary sheet, you could create one. So let me just click the summary tab here. Yeah. So there are two options. You have the scenario summary and the pivot table report as well. So scenario summary basically asks us what is your resulting cell. So after having changed this percentage, what is it that you are finally trying to look at, which is the total profit, which it has correctly picked out. So that is your result cell here. And now I just click OK. Now we can see that a separate sheet has come. So it has maintained the existing sheet. It has not gone and deleted it. So I have a different sheet, which gives me all the different scenarios that I have in place. So whatever is the current value on the sheet, and the other values as well. So it is also showing the corresponding profit, the profit based on the percentages. Okay, so this is how you would use the scenario manager. So there are quite a couple more options here. Let's go and have a look at them. Let's come back here, scenario manager. Okay, so let's look at a few more aspects here. So we know that we could add more scenarios by clicking the add button, or edit or delete if you don't want any one of them. We are clicked on the summary. So we'll just click on the summary once again. There is a scenario pivot table report. So let's click on that as well. Okay, there you go. So a pivot table also gets created with this minimum information. So based on the percentages, you're seeing the profit, right? The last option is how you could merge the scenarios. So in our case, it does not apply. But let's say you have a couple of sheets where in each of the sheets you have different scenarios defined. You can actually go and merge them. So that's the option that you will see here called merge. So if you were to click on this right now, it would say that there are no scenarios in the source sheet, because now I've clicked on say the scenario summary or the scenario pivot table. So there are no scenarios defined on the sheet. So if there are scenarios defined on any other sheet, you could go and merge them into one location. All right. So that's about it with the scenario manager. So in the next video, we'll explore how to use GoalSeek.